In today's video, we're going to do a quick one. We're going to show you how to UV unwrap and texture your model. Let's go ahead and get started. First thing I want to do is go in here and clear our scene. And in order to properly demonstrate this, I'm going to do something quick and simple. I'm going to create a quick little table. So first I'm going to bring in a plane. I'm going to put in some loop cuts. And they're essentially going to help me define the shape that I'm looking for. And just to keep in mind, guys, for this video, I'm not trying to over-engineer this table. I'm doing a quick and dirty, simple little table because all I want to do is show you guys how to UV unwrap it and then how to apply some sort of like a texture to it. So everything you see me doing now are things you see me doing pretty much every video. And there's a reason why I kind of stick to these techniques, because I'm slowly ingraining that mentally into your workflow for making like pretty much basic stuff. I found that these techniques get me like 80% to 90% there for pretty much everything I model, at least hard surface modeling. All right, so I'm going to come in here and bring in a solidify. I'm going to change the offset to 0 so it grows or shrinks from both sides, from the center point, if you will. So basically there's the top of the table minus the definition. Want to come in here and grab some of these edges, top and bottom. I'm going to define those so when we apply the subdivision, it'll be a little bit more defined and tighter in those areas. Just a quick little bevel, just like you guys see me doing every other video. And I'm going to do a shift in just to be safe, even though we don't really need it. Shift in is recalculate normals. I mean, that's good enough for a table. Is that a perfect table? No, but like that's not the point. So this is good enough for a tabletop. So now I want to bring in a leg. So let's make one. Let's bring in a circle mesh primitive. And I want to put it roughly right here. We'll probably end up moving it, but for as a starting point, this is a good place to position it. So I'm moving my 3D cursor there so that when I bring my circle primitive in, it's going to position the center of it at wherever I have my cursor. So let's scale this down. And I want to change my view orientation so that I can like sculpt this thing from the front or from the sides here. And I'm just going to do extrusion and scale all the way down. We're just making something that looks like a nice little table leg. And in the video, what we're going to do is we're going to UV unwrap the tabletop. And we're going to unwrap one of these legs and go from there. I may even speed this part up in post just so that the video is a little bit shorter. You guys don't have to sit here and watch me make a table leg. All right, now that we've finished that, let's go ahead and duplicate said leg so we equal 4 in total. So right quick, I'm in the outliner, I'm giving stuff a name so I know what it is. That's really for my benefit. It's just a good habit, so if you start doing animation or anything like that, you got a ton of stuff in the scene, just makes it pretty nice. So first thing I want to do is I want to mirror this one leg. And notice you don't see anything. Let's make sure it's on the proper axis. And we also need to mirror it against a particular object, which I'm using the table. So now we got 2. But if you look, they look a little bit too close together. So I'm going to go to edit mode for the original. And I'm going to move it up along the Y-axis to spread them out. And for now, that's good. I may reposition it later, but for now, that's good. So next, I'm going to run an array modifier right behind the mirror modifier to duplicate the 2 legs. And then I'm going to offset them on the x-axis, which is perpendicular in our case here to the y-axis, and just move them on the other side of that table. And there you have it. Just that quick with 2 modifiers, we got 4 legs. If I change anything off of that first leg, it'll propagate and update on all the other 3 legs. So it's just working efficiently. All right, and now I want to parent them to the tabletop. So if we move the tabletop, everything moves together. Keep in mind, just because I parented it doesn't glue it all together as one thing that you can't change very easily. They're still separate. So now let's go ahead and do the UV unwrapping. So what I did is I went into look dev mode or materials preview mode so I can start seeing some changes of some things. I'm going to drag out a new viewport here and I'm going to change it to the shader editor, and I'm hitting N to move that little panel out of the way so I have a little bit more room. I'm going to hit new to create a new material. I'm going to give it a name. I'm just going to call it material wood because eventually we're going to use this same material to generate the final product. But I want to test my UV unwrapping. I want to visually see it. So I'm going to show you guys a method of doing that. So I'm going to bring in image node, mapping node, and text coordinate node, glue them all together to the principal. I'm going to hit new. I'm going to call this new image checkered because I'm creating a new picture. And for the width and the height, I'm going to do 2048 pixels. And right up under there where it says blank, click that, hit UV grid. It's built into Blender, so it'll be there. And then hit the call to action button there to line it up. So now you see that my tabletop has a checkerboard pattern on it. It looks all screwy. Well, the reason why it looks screwy is because we haven't done any UV unwrapping yet. And then we're going to use this visually to show us if we got this right or not. I'm going to go ahead and apply this same material to my leg. And as you see, you don't see anything. It's there. It's just that we need to UV unwrap it all. All right, so that's what we're going to do now. Grab a tabletop. Let's start with it because it's the easiest. And I'm just going to move that out of the way. And I want to go into edit mode. Actually, let me turn sub D off or disable it. It's better yet. Go to edit mode. I want to go to edge selection. So 2 on the keyboard. And I want to grab that center edge, the center part of that bevel. And I'm going to hit mark sharp. I'm going to hit U on the keyboard, hit mark sharp. And notice some stuff just shifted around when I did that. Let's do the same thing at the top, where that top center edge is for that bevel. And I'm clicking Alt, I'm hitting Alt and click to select it all at one time. Hit U and then mark seam. Notice it shifted some more. The purpose of this is we want to get this thing laid out like we want to fillet it out flat, as flat as possible. Now I'm going to zoom in because this is important. Make sure you get all those little edges that match up to that other cut. The little red lines indicate a cut or a seam that we're making. Hit mark seam. And notice, at least on the side there, all the little UV patterns look kind of nice. They don't look all twisted and funky looking now. Also, the same can go for the top and the bottom. All right. Now, normally you'd want to do this in the UV editing tab, which we will do here in a minute. I'm eyeballing it because I'm kind of used to not using the UV editing tab unless I have a problem. But I'm going to make some cuts on the leg that are not necessary just so you can see how screwy this can get. So now let's go to the UV editing tab because these blocks are way too big. So I want to make them smaller. So on the left-hand side, there's our UVs. You can look at it like that's how our mesh is cut, laid out flat, and then positioned on a grid pattern. I guess that's the best way to explain it. I'm going to scale it up, but you're going to make the little blocks in the pattern smaller. So now I can actually will be able to see my wood texture a little bit more refined here on the edge. So I'm gonna disable the I'm gonna disable the mirror, and I'm gonna disable the array on the leg. And I did notice here we didn't close off the top of the leg, so let me do that real quick. Go to edge select, alt click, and then I'm gonna hit E and S to bring that in, and I just want to grid fill it. Pretty simple. Now what you won't see me do is put a bevel there, but I'll end up doing that later. So I'm gonna mark seam here at the top. And I'm gonna do some unnecessary mark seams here just to make a point. So let's put one here. So you see how that UV looks all screwy and crazy on the left-hand side there? Let's do some more unnecessary seams, because I want you to see what's happening when I do that. So see, it looks a little bit cleaner now, but those seams are not necessarily, because the texture can stretch across all of that. And you'll see how it causes distortion later. Now what we need to do is we need to put one big long cut up the side. So if I were to take a pair of scissors and take this cylindrical shape and roll it out and lay it flat on the ground, this is how I'd have to cut it to get it that way. So one thing I noticed, let's jump back to the tabletop. I want to superimpose the top and the bottom to share the same, what we call the coordinate space on the UV. So it basically would lay the same texture on the top and the bottom. That's all it's doing. And I want to scale it up, which will make the grids or the little checkers a little bit smaller. That will also, when we use a wood grain texture, that will define the relative size of the wood grain. I just want it to more match the sides. I'm not looking for perfection because it's not going to be perfect when we put wood grain there, but I want it to match the relative size of the grain. That makes sense. And I'm also getting the table legs similar. I'm in my head, I'm imagining what that wood grain pattern that I showed you at the beginning of the video, I'm imagining what that would look like here. So now we got to deal with these legs, because as you see, our UVs are all like screwed up. And wait till we apply sub D back on here. Well, we just did. So I just put sub D on it, seeing it just made everything look kind of screwy. So now I'm gonna run a crease here, which is gonna add to the complexity. Just watch. So it made it look a little bit cleaner up there at the top, but it's not the solution. And I need to tighten up the top here, because with sub D, it's got that, it's way too rounded. So let me just put a bevel up here, which is going to change some things. So now I got two seams from that one bevel line. So we need to address that. You're going to see me do this stuff on purpose, because I'm showing you how easily you can screw this up, unless you're used to doing it. And I'm no master at it. I understand the fundamentals of it, but I'm not like a UV unwrapping like guru or anything like that. At least I'm bold enough to admit it. All right. So you're going to see me come in here and trying to fix this thing. So the reason why we have two seams now is I took the one seam and beveled it, if that makes sense. So now I'm going back in here and cleaning it up. I'm clearing seam. So I hit U, and instead of mark seam, I hit clear seam. And that basically just says, okay, these selected lines here, or this selected edge here, is no longer being defined as a seam. It doesn't change your geometry. It may change the way your texture maps. Well, not may, it will change the way your texture wraps, but I mean, you may need to do that. One thing I want to point out here, see that edge? You want that edge to go all the way down to where that cut is a proper cut. And I still got some deformity and some craziness going on here. So I'm going in here and I'm just trying to figure out how to clean this up. Getting rid of all these unnecessary mark seams. And you see where it went from red to like a hot pink color? The hot pink color in Blender denotes that it's a crease. The red denotes that it's a UV cut. Just want to draw that visual point out to you here when you see it in the video. If you happen to run a custom theme where you change all of this, yours may be a different color, but by default, these are pretty much the colors. Even though I have a custom theme, I didn't change this. All right, so we're just gonna end this part of just kind of cleaning this leg up. You see it's pretty clean. So now let's go ahead and apply our wood grain texture. And we're using these checkerboards just to give us a visual indication of how our actual texture is going to be applied to this. I use it to do like cleanup work. So now let's take this node here. Let's duplicate this image texture node and see where it's got like the number 2. I want to click that. That's going to make it its own deal now. So now I click my wood texture I've already downloaded, and it's just one I grabbed for free off the internet. And now I'm going to take the nodes, the vector node, I'm going to plug it into vector for the texture image, and then I'm going to take color, plug it into the principled, and then I'm going to take my old checkerboard and just delete it. And now I pop that into place. Notice our wood texture is perfectly applied to our table, both tabletop, bottom, side, and legs. And there you go. Let's look at it. You're essentially done, guys. It's that quick. Now notice I didn't use displacement or anything like that because that wasn't the purpose, but you totally can. You can use it to make a displacement map. You can make it look like real wood. I just doing a flat texture for you just to, you know, communicate this principle. So now here's the finished product. You are done that quick. Most of the work is the cuts and figuring that out. Most of the work is cleaning up like weird stuff like bevels and that sort of thing. But anyway, that's it. If you like this video and this content, do me a favor by liking, subscribing, and clicking that notification bell so you know when the next video is coming up. I'm going to have another one for you here pretty soon, so I'll see you on the next video. You guys have an awesome week. Take care.